Meetings. They can be long and arduous.
Especially when there are creepy dolls involved.
Well, that's next week, but we're going to get a lot of creepy dolls. But today we have a long meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Which is what we're going to talk about today on Jared and Now Watch SHIROBAKO, episode number 14. I'm Jared. That is Doc Allen Ladium.
Hello.
And we are talking about episode 14 called The Ruthless Audition Meeting, or whatever the heck the Blu-ray calls it. I forgot already.
Nice.
That was a long time ago.
Like an hour ago.
Which is a long time ago for what we've been doing.
I mean, yeah, it has been a lot of like brain melting nonsense. So
It's true.
Yep, I could see that.
So we are our second episode into the second arc, and we are beginning off with some auditions for all the parts for the new anime.
Mm-hmm.
Got a bunch of girls going through all these different parts, giving their takes on the characters. Shizuka shows up.
Mm-hmm.
She auditions for
one character.
She auditions for one character, and then they're like, hey, how about you do this other character as well? And she's like, okay, I'll do it. Which I would imagine if like you're doing that on the fly and like you have not prepared for that character at all, like where do you put your mindset? Like how do you like look at this and look at the script and just be like, okay, this is what this character is going to sound like? Like that sounds very difficult.
I would assume that like she had read the scripts, like conversations with other characters before.
Right.
So you could kind of get a gist of who they might potentially be. But then like you would really have to think about it for a second of like, how would I portray that?
Mm-hmm.
And she just kind of like went straight into it, which it is a show, but
right.
It's impressive.
Which again, this is something that would happen.
Yeah.
For an audition. They'd be like, hey, you want to try this character as well? Be like, okay, let's do the thing. Aoi and the director go meet with the Cloud Man. His name is Yuji.
That Cloud Man.
And they're like, oh God, I hope I don't know if he's gonna join up. He sits down. And he's like, I've been thinking about the question that Aoi gave me last week about like what kind of clouds and all the stuff I like to draw and everything, and it really made me think about like the kinds of clouds I like to draw, like what my art is when I'm putting it out there and everything. So I'm gonna join your stuff. And they're like, okay.
Yeah, because the whole time he's like, oh, he's gonna reject us. Whenever they say that they need more time to think, it means that they're gonna say no. That's how it is. That's how it always is. And she's like, I don't know, maybe. And they just like, I want to draw clouds.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna have to edit that.
How dare you?
Sorry.
Using the foul language.
This man has an obsession with clouds, and it is terrifying.
I mean, if you're an artist that specializes in one thing, like I think you basically kind of have to be.
I guess there are worse things for you to be a special person at, like clouds are
specialist.
Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. Clouds are not bad per se.
But you guys have someone to draw them.
Yeah, I mean,
and if you want to have someone to draw them, you gotta have someone that's going to draw them well.
True facts.
True facts. We get a new production assistant joining the team. His name is Daisuke Hiraoka, and he has bounced around the industry for the past 5 years and has now landed up at Musashino.
Is he the like silver-haired anime boy?
Yes.
Gotcha.
And then basically for a lot of the rest of the episode is the director and some of the higher-ups in the production staff.
A very long meeting.
In a meeting deciding on the voice cast for all of the characters, which is basically them being like, so we voted for this person. We think, we're going to talk about these top two or three candidates and everything and why they're important. And then like some of the other people in the meeting, which is like one of them is a investor with regards to like music and everything. One of them is an investor with regards to like merchandise, and then the other is an investor regarded to like events. And they're all like, well, I have this person in mind, well, I have this person in mind, well, I have this person in mind. And it's like none of them are people that were like in the voting at all. It's just all just people that they're like, we're gonna push this person forward no matter what because it would appease our company in some sort of way.
Yeah, like the events guy is only focused on physicalities. Like Look how beautiful she is. Or like, look at the butt on this one. And I'm like, dude, calm down.
He's just pushing forward all these like gravure models.
Yeah.
It's like none of these girls have voice acting experience. He's like, I don't care. She's beautiful. Look at her butt.
Like, ew.
And then the other one's like, well, this person can sing. We want
to do character albums.
So like, there's like all this going back and forth on this, and it's just a mess. And then like the sound director like pops in at one point. Is like, we should go with the person who has the most votes because, you know, while they are very green and everything, you know, we can mold them into what we want them to be. And like, you know, that'll give them more experience going forward and everything. You know, we've worked with them before. They did all right and everything, you know, pushing them into this bigger role, you know, maybe challenging, but you know, we can work with it. And everyone's just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, there was even a part like before that they're like, let's look how many Twitter followers they have.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God.
Because that's how you do things.
Yeah. Yikes.
The dude who represents the author shows up late and it's just like, oh, I'll just go whatever you guys are the top vote is, whatever. And just basically just sits there for the rest of the time on his phone.
Yep.
Before eventually just leaving, before the final votes have been cast and everything.
Yep.
They get to the final character, and that's the one that they had Shizuka audition for, where they asked her specifically to do it. And the director gives a vote of approval for her as like a second option.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, hey, you know, we had her do this voice like on the fly and everything, and she did it pretty well. You know, she's pretty, you know, young and inexperienced in the industry and everything, but you know, she gives a different take on the character than what, you know, necessarily we might have been looking for. So, you know, what do you guys think and everything? And basically everyone kind of goes through they play her audition and everything, and you know, people give their thoughts and opinions for like, you know, one of the other options they would give like a more, I guess, stronger character for what they are really looking for specifically, so they don't go with her.
Mm-hmm.
But for her to get like, you know, that kind of like recognition, I think is big.
Yeah.
In a way, for like, you know, considering, you know, she doesn't have that much experience and everything, and that kind of puts her on people's radars in a way that she probably wouldn't have been before. So,
which, I mean, that really amounts to a lot in this kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. So she initially fails, but it's not a terrible failure in the way that some of the other ones have been. The following day, some of the team, they're talking about Midori's research and everything, so they're like, hey, why don't we just have her join up with us? So she just work with us directly. So they're like, they have Aoi call her and get her to come to Musashino, and the president and Watanabe give her an interview and everything. And she's just like, oh, I know all the stuff you did about the president and everything, and you know, he worked on this stuff and all this stuff. And he's like, oh yeah, I worked on this stuff. That was a long time ago. She accepts the offer and everything, and gets to work with him directly on doing research and everything. Misa's new company that she's working at is going to be helping out with CG animation for the series. So she is also now basically, in a way, working with the series as well.
Yay.
And then they go to where Shizuka works, and all talk about like, oh, you know, we all got to work together now, yay. And she's like, oh, I also auditioned for this plane thing, and then I didn't get accepted. And they're like, oh, that's the thing we're all working on.
Yeah, and they're all like teary-eyed, which is understandable. I felt really bad at this point because she was trying to be positive.
She was.
Poor gal.
She's gonna do her bestie.
Do your bestie always.
And then basically we wrap the episode with Aoi having to go negotiate with another company because they need a secondary animation studio to work on a couple of episodes because they can't do all of the episodes in house. So Daisuke's like, hey, I know a company, I can give a call. They'll help us. You just have to go, you know, do the introductions and all that sort of stuff. So she goes buys baked goods from Honda, and then goes to Studio Titanic.
Yep. Titanic spelled really weird though.
TAI Titanic.
Titanic.
And there's a picture. There's a boat on the front of the building.
And it's crashing through it.
She basically gives them baked goods and is like, here's the schedule we want you to do. That's how we end our episode.
Yep.
So we had a Ruthless audition meeting, which was just terrible.
Yeah, that meeting was rough.
And they said like it went for like 14 hours or some ridiculous amount like that. It's no bueno.
No bueno. Yeah.
But that does it for this episode. Next time, we will be discussing episode number 15. It's called Will These Drawings Work? Or whatever else the Blu-ray called it. Or are these like drawings acceptable or something? We basically have learned that like the title translations for episodes are different compared to, or depending on which version you are watching. So like Al is watching on streaming services, and I have the Blu-rays, so those titles are different from one another, which is bizarre, but that's just how that goes sometimes. But yeah, we will be discussing Will These Drawings Work? And go through a lot more meetings with your favorite.
So more meetings.
Your favorite puppets.
I hate them so much.
Or plushies or whatever.
Little dolls.
They're
so creepy.
But that's going to do it for this episode. If you would like more from us, go to seasonalcheckup.com or sec.cool, so where you can find past episodes of this podcast and other podcasts, like the Season Line Checkup and Season Line Checkup OVA. And you can find columns and reviews on the site as well. If you want more from Ann Ladium, go to AnnLadium.com. She's got columns and reviews. And you can follow us on Twitter, twitter.com/animecheckup. So join us next time as we try and figure out if drawings are workable or not.
Creepy dolls.